In today's video we are going to recreate this Dan Koe style animation. This video was originally created by Eptavisuals, so you can go check out their Instagram. The great thing is copying this animation will start to unlock your ability to make these ever so viral videos and give you a solid foundation to become an advanced animator. Now if you want to learn how to do more of the Iman Ghazi style, Ali Abdaal style, Vox style or Dan Koe style, then make sure to join our exclusive Leverage Editor program and community waitlist. I've partnered up with Leverage Edits to give you this exclusive training and community that will be releasing on April 1st. This program and community will help you transition from being an average editor, struggling to land clients and getting underpaid, to an advanced level editor who is able to work for top brands and influencers while also getting paid top dollar. I will be coaching there, so you will have the opportunity to speak directly with me and receive personalized feedback on your work. Enrollment starts April 1st and the program and community will only be available for 5 days. We're keeping things exclusive, so you won't be able to join after those 5 days. We do that to ensure that everyone who comes through finds success. And so far a ton of students are finding success. So sign up to the waitlist in the description to become a leveraged editor. And with that, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing to do in After Effects is to create a new composition in a vertical format. And as you can see right there, I have the original video. And you will have that video as well as every other asset that I will be using in this tutorial in the asset folder in the description. So I created this canon in Adobe Illustrator and now I will import it. Okay, when importing the canon, make sure to set the import kind to composition and footage dimensions to document size. Right now, go inside of this composition, copy these two layers that are there, and paste them in the main composition. And right now we can delete the canon composition. The first thing that we'll do in this animation is to create the layouts. So this canon, the dashed line and the line with a circle at the end. So position the canon in the right place and increase the scale a little. So 125 I think is okay. And of course, if you don't want to use Adobe Illustrator, you can create this canon in After Effects by using Pen tool, but I think it's much better to use Adobe Illustrator. Okay, I will decrease the opacity of the original video to 50, let's say. And right now I will create the text. So right click, create a new text layer and type what you see on the screen right now. Put this text layer in the right place. Right now duplicate it, put the second layer below and change the text there. Okay, and the font that I'm using is actually like, I think exactly the same font as in the original video, or if not, then it's really similar. And it's called Franklin Gothic Demi Regular. And you will have this font in the asset folder in the description. Okay, now we'll create the dashed line. With nothing selected, click G to select the pen tool and draw a line like that. I think it's just slightly rounded. And right now remove the fill, of course. And set the stroke to 4 pixels, I think it looks okay. Let's call it dashed line. Move this line below everything else, below the canon. And as you can see, it's not dashed yet. So open the dashed line drop down, go to Contents, Shape, Stroke, and click this plus next to the dashes. This way now we've created a dashed line, and you can play with the number of dashes to make it look similar as in the original video. So I would say 12 looks okay. Okay, close this layer and select a pen tool again, and right now we'll create this pillar, this line. So just click there and while holding shift, click up here. This way you create a perfectly straight line. Let's call this layer pillar, and the stroke at 4 pixels is okay. And right now to create this circle, go up here and select ellipse tool, and while holding shift, draw a perfect circle. And right now we'll put this layer in 3D by clicking this box. Let's call this layer circle and click R to open the rotation and change the Y rotation so it kinda looks like in the original video. Let's see. Also, I will increase the scale a little and now position it in the right place. Okay, I think this is good. So I've set the Y rotation to minus 55 degrees. Maybe I will actually increase the stroke to 5 pixels. Yeah, right now it's fine. So let's see how this animation looks. Okay, so at this moment the canon is aiming up and the line is following that. So the path of this line is changing. So let's go to the start of this animation and we'll start by animating the canon. So let's mark this point on timeline by clicking Shift plus 4. And right now go to the moment when this animation is finished. So right there, I would say. Let's mark this point also, Shift plus 7 this time. Now go to the body layer of the canon and click here to select pan behind tool. This way you will be able to change the position of the anchor point and put this anchor point on this little dot right there. And right now open the rotation keyframes on the body layer, keyframe the rotation there, go to the second keyframe, keyframe the rotation here again, and on the second keyframe change the rotation so that it matches with the original video. So I think -30 is okay. In a moment we will be smoothing these keyframes, but right now let's also animate the line. So at the first mark, go to the dashed line, open the drop down menu, go to contents and go to path and keyframe the path at the start, at the first mark, and then keyframe the path at the second mark. And at the second mark we have to adjust the path of this line so it matches with the original video. So click G to select the pen tool and right now adjust the points of this path. Go up here to the pen tool and hold the left mouse button on that and select Convert Vertex tool. And with this tool selected, if you hold your mouse button on the point and then move somewhere, you create the handles and you can change this path. And so right now adjust the path of these two handles so it matches with the original video. Okay, it's good, but you can see that the timing on my animation is different than the original animation. And this is because now we have to select these keyframes and click F9 to smooth them. Go to Graph Editor. And I think in the original video they made it like really fast in the middle of this animation. So right there it's lagging behind us. And then it's going much faster. Okay, so now I will work on this graph to get the look that I'm going for, and I will be back when I finish. Okay, this is how it looks right now. As you can see, it's not exactly the same, but it's really close. So I will stay with that. And what I did to get this look is I actually had to change the path on the first keyframe because I gave it too much roundness at the start. So on the first keyframe at the start, right now, this is how the handles look on this second point, but they used to look something like this. And at the second point of the path animation, I've also put this point, so the second point, a lot further from the screen because this was somewhere here and right now it's there. And of course you have to play with the handles and with the look of the graph editor, and I can show you my graph editor looks like that right now. Okay, but another thing that you can notice in the original video is that this dashed line is constantly moving. Even at the start it's moving kinda, and to get this look I will animate the offset on the dashed line. So go to dashed line, go to stroke, and under the dashes option you can find offset. Go to the start of the timeline and keyframe it there, and go to the end of the timeline because it's animated throughout the whole animation, and keyframe the offset there. And to make this move in the direction of the circle, you have to set it to negative values. So let's say -400. I will set it to -400 and let's see how it looks. Okay, you can see it's way too slow because my timeline is too long, so I will trim the layers and move the second keyframe to the end. And let's see how it looks now. Yeah, I think now it's at good speed. So we can move to the second part of this animation, so the shot. Let's hide my layers right now and I will see in the original video. The exact moment of the shot is, I think, right there. And so let's mark this moment on the timeline using Shift+4. And so what is really happening in this part of the animation is that the ball is being shot, the cannon is going back, there is this new line created. Instead of the dashed line, it's just a normal line and it's colorful. And then many colorful circles are getting animated around the main circle. So we'll start with the cannon animation. So make our cannon visible. Right there I already have the second mark, which indicates when this cannon is at a maximum point to the left of the screen. So let's go to the first mark and keyframe the position on both the leg and the body layer of the cannon. Go to the second mark, keyframe the position again and move it to the left. And right now also on the body layer we have to keyframe the rotation, so make it -41, I think is okay. And right now go to the moment when the cannon is back in the original position, so right there I would say, and keyframe the position and the rotation, and just put it back at the original position and rotation. And of course, again, we'll have to smooth these keyframes, but we'll do that in a moment, because right now we'll animate the ball. So go up here and select the ellipse tool, and while holding shift, draw a perfect circle, like that. Let's see if it's the right size. Yeah, I think it is good. And for now, we don't have to worry about the color of the circle. Of course, remove the stroke and set the color to whatever color, basically, because anyway, the color will be animated. So go to the moment of the shot and find the moment when the ball is out of the screen. You should find the moment where the ball is out of the screen, but also the glow of the ball is out of the screen. And I think right there it's not visible because the rest of the glow is the glow of the line. So let's mark this point. Let's trim the start of this ball layer right there. First of all, we have to make sure that the anchor point of the ball is in the middle of this ball. So click Ctrl, Alt and Home. And right now go to the drop down of the dashed line, Contents, Shape, Path, and copy the path from there, and click on the position of the ball and paste it right there. And you can see right now that the whole path of this dashed line has been copied, because at the start, as you remember, the path of this dashed line was here. And so really we only need the last 2 keyframes that we just copied. So select the first 2 keyframes that we just copied and delete them. And right now you can see that this ball is following the path, but we want to put these 2 keyframes in the right moment. So first one we should put at the first mark and second one at the second mark. Let's see how it looks. Okay, it's good, but we'll have to smooth this out, of course. But we'll do that in a moment, because right now we'll create this colorful path that is leaving a trace behind the ball. So copy the dashed line, put it above everything else. No, actually both the ball and this second dash line we have to put below the cannon. Trim the start of it right there. Okay, at the start I see that we can actually change the position of the ball a little so it's not visible. A quick adjustment also, I think I will make the original dashed line a little wider. So set the stroke width to 5 pixels. For now let's hide everything except for the ball and the second dash line that we just copied. Okay. And click on this dashed line and go to Contents, Shape, Stroke, and click on the minus next to the dashes to remove the dashes and make it just a straight line. Okay, and now to make it colorful but different colors across the whole line, we'll add an effect that is called 4-color gradient. And we'll need 3 colors, pink, red and yellow. And then put the anchor points of these colors in the places where these colors appear. So red at the start, pink somewhere in the middle, and yellow at the end. And the 4th color, so in my case it's green, we can put as far away as we can, so it's not affecting our animation. And the great thing of using this 4-color gradient is that right now we can copy this effect and paste it on the ball layer. And this way the ball will change colors with the line at the same time. Right now let's make the rest of the animation visible again. And we'll have to make this line much wider, of course, because as you can see in the original animation, it should cover the dashed line. You can see that right now it's thinner, and so we have to increase the stroke to 5.5 to make sure that it's just half a pixel wider than the dashed line layer. Maybe even just a little wider. So 5.6. Okay, what we can also do, it's a small detail, but go back to the second keyframe of the path of the first dashed line and adjust it so that it's just barely not visible. So it's at the edge of the cannon. And right now adjust the colorful line accordingly. So also put it in the same place. And when we hide the original video, let's see how it looks. Okay, yeah, it's really good. So right now we have to animate this line. To accurately animate this line, we have to actually first animate the ball. So go to the ball layer and let's move these 2 keyframes. So select them and click F9. So I will play with the graph editor and I will get back to you when I get the look that I want. So this is how it looks right now. I will for now hide the original layer and show you. And now with the original video, you can see that it's actually almost exactly the same. Like, it's really close. And this is how my graph looks. So we can just copy that. Okay, so with the ball animated, we can animate the colorful line. Let's actually rename this layer. Okay, so click on the colorful line layer, open the drop down menu and go to add and add a trim paths. And right now keyframe the end and also the start at the first mark, and then at the second mark keyframe them again, and at the first set of keyframes at the first mark set the end to 0. And now you have to find the moment where the start of this layer is also getting animated, because not only the end is getting animated, I will show you in the original video, but then also I think kinda in this moment, you can see that the start is also getting animated, and at some point this line is disappearing fully from the screen. You see the start is at this position right now. So right there, the start is getting animated. So keyframe the start at this position and find the moment in the original video when this line is out of the screen, and it's exactly here. Also the glow should not be visible on the screen. And so move the second start keyframe to this moment. I will delete the first keyframe on the start that I created because we'll not be using that. And at the first keyframe of the end, the end should be at 0, at the second keyframe it should be at 100, so it's okay. And right there at the first keyframe of the start it should be at 0%, and at the second it should be at 100. And right now we only have to match the easing of the line to the easing of the ball, and we can do that by again using the free plugin EaseCopy. So select the 2 keyframes from the ball, copy here, select the 2 keyframes from the end and paste it there. And right now let's go frame by frame, let's hide the original layer and see if it looks good. Yeah, you can see that it's perfectly matching every frame basically. One more thing you can see at this frame, actually the ball layer should be above the circle layers, so put it right there. Yeah, now it's better. And when it comes to easing the start keyframes, we don't actually have to do anything because it looks good on its own. Okay, one more thing, because right now the ball is above the cannon, so we have to move the ball, the circle and the pillar layer above, below the cannon layer. Okay, before creating the animation of the circles, we can actually go back to the keyframes of the position of the cannon. Actually, for now, let's only select the position keyframes on the body layer and let's only work with them. So to make the movement match the movement of the original cannon, we have to select the middle keyframes and move them up. So in order to get this look, we have to select the first keyframe right there and move the handle like that. So it almost looks good, but we also have to select this point and make it look like that. Now move the middle keyframe up so it creates this hill shape. So the graph looks like that. Let's see right now. I think it's pretty good, we don't have to do anything there. So now again we'll use the EaseCopy plugin, copy the keyframes here and paste them up there. Yeah, now it's really good. So there are only 2 things remaining in this video to animate, and these are the circles right there and also the colors on the text layers. Okay, so go to the moment when in the original video these colorful circles start appearing. So right here I would say, select the circle layer that we created at the start and copy it like 5 times. Like that. Now select all of the copies and trim the starts of them so that they start in this moment. Okay, now go to the moment when the animation of the circles is finished. So right there all of the circles disappeared. Cut these layers right there and trim the end to this point. Okay, and now I actually see that I made a mistake while creating the first original circle, because the anchor point of the circle is not in the middle, but it's on the left side. So in order to fix that, because we will have to use the scale animation, and as you can see, if now I scale that, it's scaling from this point, and we want that to scale from the middle. So we can just select all of the circle layers and by clicking Ctrl, Alt and Home, put the anchor points of them in the middle. So do that on all of the circles. Okay, so looking at the biggest colorful circle in the original animation, I have to find the point when it's fully expanded. So right there I would say, let's hide the original video and keyframe the scale at this moment, so at the full expansion moment, and keyframe the scale at the start, and at the second keyframe make it the same size as in the original video. So I would say this is pretty good. Let's see. Right now copy these keyframes on the scale and paste them on all of the other circle layers. Also, what I think I will do is select all of the duplicated layers and decrease the stroke on them to kind of 3 pixels. And right now select all of these duplicated circle layers and we'll just sequence them. So using another free plugin called Motion Tools, you can sequence the layer by the amount of the frames that you want. So here you type the amount of the frames. So let's stagger them by 2 frames and click this one. Now let's see. Okay, yeah, it's perfect. And it's just much better with this plugin, because without it you will have to just manually stagger every circle by 2 frames. Right now I'm just thinking if maybe I will make one more circle, because actually in the original video there are a lot of these circles. So one more circle and stagger it by 2 frames. Okay, when you compare to the original animation, I can see that all of them are kinda too long. So select all of them and just trim the ends of them, because at this point nothing should be visible anymore. So let's mark this point, Shift+9. Let's select all of these layers and make it so that the end of the last circle is at this point. Okay, let's select all of these layers and click U to show you the keyframes and move the second set of keyframes like 2 frames earlier. So all of the circles except for the biggest main colorful circle, so this one, will have their ends trimmed to the moment where the scale animation is finished on them. So let's do that on all of the circles. Right now, put the opacity keyframes at the starts and ends of the circles. At the start, set the opacity to 70% and at the end to 25%. And also I made a mistake because the main colorful circle should be the circle that appears first on the screen. So the bottom circle layer in my case. And at the moment when only the main circle is visible, we'll start decreasing the size of the circle. And we'll duplicate this 2 times right there, cut it in this moment. And so for the main circle, keyframe the scale at this moment. Then go to this keyframe and set the scale to 105. And right now on the duplicates, we also have to copy these keyframes, these 2 last keyframes, and paste them there. We can even delete these keyframes because these layers are not visible here anyway. And right now we'll stagger them by 1 frame. Let's see. Okay, it's good. But these 2 layers should also have the opacity keyframes, and these opacity keyframes should be the same as on all of these layers. First opacity keyframe will be at 70%, and at the end it will be at 25%. And with this scale down animation, we'll also start decreasing the opacity of the main colorful circle. So keyframe the opacity at this moment, and at the end it should be at 0. And this layer should end here, of course. So put the ends of these layers to the last animation keyframes. Okay, let's see how it looks. Yeah, I think it's really good. So right now we actually have to apply colors to our colorful circles. But one more thing is that the pillar should be above all of these layers. Okay, so first we have to analyze what is actually happening here. So you can see that the inner circles, so this one's not the main circle, at the start they are more colorful than later, because later they are getting kinda whitish. So let's hide the original video layer. Okay, and to get this look we'll have to apply the effect called gradient ramp. So search for that, and right now set the start color to red and end color to orange. Okay, and I will put the anchor point of the red color right there and the anchor point of the orange color right there. Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. And at the start, keyframe the blend with original option on the gradient ramp, and it should be set at 0%. And right now go to the end of this layer, keyframe blend with original again, and set it to 100%. And this way, the bigger this circle is, it's getting more and more white. So this is what we want. But actually, let's move the second keyframe of this blend with original to this moment, so it's fully like whitish earlier. And right now copy these keyframes, paste them on all of these circles. But remember to do it one by one, because you want the keyframes in the exact same places, because I can show you in the last 2 circles. If I paste them right now, the keyframes on this one will be here, so not in the right places. Right now I will move them. Okay, one problem is that we actually also have to go inside of this first layer that we applied the gradient to and copy the gradient ramp effect, and right now paste it on all of them, because right now we copied the keyframes on the blend with original, but we didn't copy the colors. So if we copy this right now, you can see that the colors are copied, and do that on all of the layers again. Maybe I will actually put the second keyframe of the blend with original like 2 keyframes later on all of them. Okay, right now we'll apply the colors on the main colorful circle, and on this one we'll actually apply the 4 color gradient, so not the gradient ramp. We'll use 2 red colors and 2 orange colors. Let's adjust the anchor points. This will allow us to actually keyframe the position on all of these anchor points and change the position of different colors of the gradient throughout this animation. We can do something like at the start keyframe the points right there, then go at the end, let's keyframe them again, and let's kind of move them in different positions, so it will look interesting. Let's see. Okay, and now on these 2 additional layers we can actually copy the gradient ramp. but delete the blend with original options, because these two additional layers, so this one and this one, actually keep their colors up until the end. Okay, I think it looks good. But right now what I also want to add is from this point, so when we have this scale down animation, I want to start applying blur to the main circle and to these two additional circles. So search for Gaussian blur, apply it to this layer and keyframe the blurriness. At the start it should be at 0 and at the end it should be, let's say, at 50, maybe a little less, maybe 40. Now let's copy this Gaussian blur effect and apply it to these two additional layers. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, that's perfect. So there are 3 more things remaining in this animation to do, and they are to animate the color on the text layers, to add a glow to everything, and to create the reflection of the whole layout. So as you can see in the original animation, right before the shot, the text is getting kinda red and orange, and then it's getting back to white color. So we can do that by simply adding the effect for color gradient right before the shot. So on this mark, we can start animating that. So change 2 of the colors to white, 1 of the colors to red, and 1 to orange. And I will not create exactly the same color animation as in the original video, but I will just show you how to do it, and I will make something by myself. Right there, the text should look like that. So let's keyframe the points. Or maybe let's go like 3 frames before that, or 5 frames before that, and in this moment this text should look like that. And then at the moment of the shot, or somewhere here, it should be at the peak of redness. So I will move the white anchor points there, and I will move the orange here and the red here. Maybe put the white anchor points even further away, and let's see how it looks. And then once the ball is out of the screen, the text should be back to white color. So let's move these 2 anchor points away. Let's move the white colors there. Let's see how it looks. Okay, I will put the first set of keyframes even earlier, so it creates this kind of anticipation for the shot. Also, I will move the third set of keyframes further away, a little closer. Okay, so right now we can copy this effect from there and paste it on the second layer, but we'll actually have to move the keyframes. Let's maybe create a different animation for this one. So this is how it looks in my case. So the animation is almost finished. Right now we have to add a glow to everything. And I will be using a deep glow because for this type of animations it's much better than the basic glow that you have in After Effects. But if you don't have the deep glow, then the standard glow will do the job. So basically apply the glow to every layer that is on the screen. This is how this animation looks with a glow. And right now you can see just how big of a difference this makes. Okay, so now we'll create the reflection of everything except for the text. So to do that, we can select all of the layers except for the text layers, right click on them and pre-compose them. Let's call it layout. And now just copy this layer, go inside this composition, select all of the layers here, copy them, paste them here. Now you can delete this composition because now we'll only be working on the reflection layers. So create a new null object and connect all of the layers that you just copied to this null object, and now right click on this null object, go to transform and flip it vertically. Open the position on the null object and position it in the place you want. And now we can even delete the null object. And you might ask why we did that instead of just staying with 2 compositions and then flipping the new composition. And this is because if we copy this composition and then we want to change anything inside of the copied composition, this will also change layers inside of the original composition. So that's why we wanted to actually duplicate not the composition but the layers inside of it. Right now let's put all of the text above everything, and on the reflection we'll want to decrease or maybe even disable the glow on the canon, because deep glow kinda makes all of the colors lighter and we don't want that in the reflection. Okay, but now after actually copying the layers, what we can do is select all of the layers that we just copied and pre-compose them and call this composition reflection. So right now in the reflection composition we want to create a new adjustment layer and apply Gaussian blur to this layer and increase it to maybe 20, 27. and decrease the opacity of the whole reflection composition to something like 80% or maybe even 65%. Yeah, now it's better. One more thing that we can do is go inside of this reflection composition and create a new solid and make it a black color and put it below the adjustment layer. And now with this black solid selected, go to rectangle tool and draw a rectangle like that. So we've created a mask. Right now position it kinda like that. With the mask selected, click F on keyboard to open the mask feather option, and now feather this and decrease the opacity of the whole layer to 20%. As you can see, when I'm moving the mask, it's making the image darker. And now actually the very last thing to do is, when you look at the original video, you can see that right before the shot, the whole screen is more red. And to get that effect, what you can do is create a new adjustment layer and put an effect called hue and saturation on this adjustment layer. And now when you play with the saturation, you can make the colors stronger, and by moving the master hue wheel, you can change the colors. And as you can see, you can create some very interesting and really pleasing visuals. So before the shot or somewhere here, let's keyframe the channel range on this effect, and then a few keyframes after the shot, let's keyframe the channel range again and increase the saturation on the red color. So put it at 0 because red color is at 0. So I think these options are quite cool. Now it's working, and of course after the animation it should be back to 0 saturation and the default settings here also. So let's review the whole animation. Yeah, I think it looks really good. And if you want to learn how to create more of this type of animations, then make sure to check the description link to sign up to the Leverage Editor waitlist. The release will be on April 1st and you will only have 5 days to join. So thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.